So people might know that there are probably about 50 odd silos. These are nuclear shelters that have been upgraded. The US has spent billions of dollars across Europe and here in Britain to upgrade these NATO sites in preparation for these nuclear bombs. And we know that in July there were 2 deliveries here to the base of those nuclear bombs. So this is a massive, massive escalation in terms of the war drive. It also massively increases the risks to all of us, because it means that we are again on the nuclear front line, and we are potentially a target in the event of military confrontation, military escalation between US and NATO and, you know, potentially Russia or whoever else the Trump administration decides to launch a war against or attack. So it's an incredibly dangerous situation. It's really, really important that we put the spotlight on this base and say that these nuclear weapons are not welcome here, just like the Trump administration and, you know, this British government rolling out the red carpet for Trump. He's not welcome in Britain, and nor are his nuclear weapons. So that's why we're here. We've been part of, there's been a whole week of action against Trump's state visit. I'm sure lots of you have seen all the direct action, all the amazing sort of creative stuff that happened in Windsor against his state visit. And then there was also a really, really big demonstration in central London against that, and across the country there have been many, many demonstrations. And for CND, what's absolutely crucial is that we are building awareness about what's going on here at this base. So we gave out thousands of leaflets about the links between this base and Trump's war drive, but also in relation to the links that this base has with the ongoing horrific genocide in Gaza. Because we know that as well as now deploying these nuclear bombs here, that we feel with the situation in Ukraine, we feel that the situation in Ukraine is getting more and more dangerous. I'm sure that people have been following the fact that there have been a number of incursions by Russian drones and now Russian jets into NATO airspace. So in Poland and now Estonia. And so we know that there's discussion. Poland is very, very keen for NATO to implement a no-fly zone across Ukraine. And what that means basically is it would mean NATO anti-military equipment being based in Ukraine to shoot down these Russian drones, to shoot down, you know, Russian jets. And what that would mean is that the US and NATO would be directly involved in a war, in military confrontation with Russia, which is very, very serious. And I'm sure a lot of you will know why CND since 1960 has been opposed to NATO, why we are against NATO, which is the biggest nuclear alliance in the world. And part of that is because it has this Article 5, which is that if one country comes under attack or needs defending, then every country that's part of the NATO alliance should come to the aid of that country. And what that basically means is you have a situation where the whole NATO alliance is going to war. And we feel that this is very, very dangerous. It basically sort of coerces countries into being part of that alliance. But it also means that countries lose their sovereignty. As I'm sure you will be aware, we have no say about the fact that these nuclear bombs are here. There's been absolutely no announcement in Parliament about the fact that these bombs are here. And when countless MPs ask questions saying what's going on here, they just get this standard pat reply, which is, we can neither confirm nor deny. And we think this is absolutely unacceptable, because what's happening here puts us at great risk, huge risk of nuclear confrontation. and it puts at huge risk local residents here if there is a nuclear accident. We know that these bombs, just one of these bombs, could kill over 600,000 people. This is the scale of the destruction. There was a nuclear accident here. You know, it's absolutely catastrophic to think how many people could be killed. And of course, it's not just local residents, but it's also US fighter pilots and their families who would be killed as well. So this is a really, really dangerous situation. We have to call it out. But of course, it's not just the local residents here that will be put at risk, it's the whole population of Britain. Because if Britain is hosting US nuclear weapons, it puts the whole country on the front line. And as I say, we feel that the situation in Ukraine is only getting worse, and we feel that what's happening here is only increasing the likelihood of nuclear weapons being used in war. As I say, also we know that this base has direct complicity in the genocide against the Palestinian people. We know that US fighter pilots based at Lakenheath have participated in military operations for Israel, working directly with Israel. We also know that this base has been involved in training Israeli fighter pilots. So there's a real direct correlation between what is happening at this base and the horror, the genocide, the horrific starvation, the horrific massacres that are taking place in Palestine now. So we feel that, again, it's absolutely critical that we call this out. We feel that, especially with the UN Commission now coming to the conclusion that at least 4 of the 5 genocidal acts have been carried out by Israel. So there's absolutely clear evidence that Israel is now committing a genocide. What's the complicity in this base? What does this mean for the base commander, for instance? Does that mean that all these people working on this base are now complicit in genocide? These are the questions that we need to have asked. So thank you so much for coming here today. It's really important that we have a strong presence here, not just today, but going forward, and we will do.